Shalom, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatha, giving all praises, honor and glory unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Hashem. Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom to you, Akim, that are teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Caleb from the GMS London Forecasters Camp, coming at you with just another quick lesson to edify the Lord's elect. As always, I just want to say that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites, these so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians and West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to get Israelites that do look like the other nations, because Israel has been scattered amongst all people throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you may look like. Because the book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So I just want to do a little very, very quick lesson here. Basically, touching on a point that one of the brothers made here, the brother Yaramia, on his video. I was just watching this, and this is also touching on a topic that the apostles brought out earlier today, I believe, about how important it is to have the correct breakdowns. Like, you can't just be winging shit, man. You can't come into this truth and be winging shit, man. I mean, that's you think that's something that brothers would know inherently, but it seems that this point needs to be reiterated, that when you're teaching this truth, you've got a very, very important job to do, and you need to teach this truth correctly. Because if you're not breaking down these scriptures correctly, then you're asked to get a great judgment for that, because you're added to the word. Let me just quickly get precept here. What is it? Revelation 22, I believe. Revelation 22 verse 18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, the Most High shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of this book, of this prophecy, the Most High will take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. Now, those are some scary ass scriptures, man. Those are some scary ass scriptures, because if you're teaching this truth incorrectly, if you're adding to the word or diminishing or taking away from the word, Yahweh can take your name out of the Lamb's Book of Life, man. And if your name's taken out of the Lamb's Book of Life, you're not going to be receiving salvation with the elect when he returns with his chariots, which means you're going to suffer the judgment that the rest of the world is going to suffer, which is to be destroyed, essentially, by thermonuclear destruction and the chariots. So this isn't no joke, man. This isn't a light thing. And also, the reason why the doctrine is so important is because this is what separates us from all of these other people who claim to believe in the Bible, be it the Christians, the Catholics, the these other camps, whatever. They've all got their own doctrine. They've all got their own idea about what's what. But the fact of the matter is that we've got the truth, and the truth is a very, very narrow path. You can't stray to the left. You can't stray to the right, because when you do, you're no longer in the truth. And if you're not in the truth, then your ass is out there, man. Your ass is out there to get whatever judgment Yahweh Shai sees fit for you. So this is a very, very narrow path. Let me get that in 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, I think that is. Salakia. Yeah. 2nd Ezra 7 from verse 1. And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel which had been sent unto me the nights afore. And he said unto me, Up, Ezra, and hear the words which I am come to tell thee. And I said, Speak on, my power. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a great wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case that the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go to sea? Salaki, who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? So this truth is a straight, narrow path, right? There is another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things. That city spoken of here is talking about the kingdom of heaven. And the entrance thereof is narrow and set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand and on the left the deep water. And only one path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. Right, so that's the situation that we're in his truth. To our left hand is a raging fire, and to the right there's a deep water. We're walking in that straight, narrow path, and that's the path of the truth. And it's not an easy path to walk, because our adversary Satan goeth about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And you're gonna come up against all sorts of it's like all these different things to try and knock you off the straight, narrow path. But we've got to be steadfast. We've got to be disciplined. And in order to be disciplined, that often means not acting out of your own imaginations. You've got to always consider what's the most pleasing thing to the Lord. And oftentimes the most pleasing thing to the Lord is doing his will. Just like when Yahushua was on the earth 2,000 years ago, when he was walking his walk, he wasn't doing his will, he was doing the will of the Father. And we in our time, in our generation here, we have to do the same thing and pick up our cross and follow in the example that was set by Yahushua, where he was doing the Father's will. If you remember in the Garden of Gethsemane, Yahushua is praying for that cup to be taken away from him, but he got no answer for his prayer, which meant the Most High was essentially telling him, look, son, you've got to go through this, man. In order to receive the glory, you've got to go through the difficult, narrow path that I have set for thee, Well, I'm just, paraphrasing that part. But us in our time right now, we too have to follow the examples set by Yahushua. We have to pick up our cross and follow him. And in order to do that, that often means being disciplined and obedient, and not trying to, do our own will. Because this truth really isn't about us, man. It's not about us, it's about Yahweh, Yahushua. So we have to put ourselves on the back burner and do what's right in the sight of Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua. And if we're breaking down the breakdowns incorrectly, we're essentially not gathering, we're scattering. And that can't be going on. That can't be going on, you know what I'm saying? You've got to have the correct breakdown. If you don't know the correct breakdown, make sure you know it before you start going out there trying to teach it, because you had this guy breaking down Revelation 18 incorrectly, talking about how the ships being stuck outside the ports is a fulfillment of Revelation 18. That's not true, because the whole point of Revelation, the 18th chapter, is about the destruction of Babylon the Great. It says, for in 1 hour, it's going to be destroyed. Let me just quickly get it. Revelation 18. Yeah, Revelation 18 and 10. Right. If you read Revelation 18 and 10, right, it says, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, and no man buyeth their merchandise any more. Right, now, you could read that and get a bugged out interpretation of what it is, but you can't be getting bugged out interpretations. You've got to break things down correctly. So if you jump back to Revelation 18 verse 8, actually, yeah, Revelation 18 and 8, therefore shall her plagues come in 1 day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire For strong is the Lord power who judgeth her. So basically, Babylon's going to be burnt up by thermonuclear destruction. So if you understood Revelation 18 and 8, you wouldn't break down Revelation 18 and 10 incorrectly. But this shows that I guess some people aren't really taking these scriptures seriously, man, because you're supposed to go precept upon precept, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. You know what I'm saying? Everything links up. This is like a beautifully woven tapestry where nothing is out of place if you break it down correctly. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to bring out a quick few precepts. I already made the point about we're supposed to be on the straight path, you know. 2nd Ezra 7th chapter. We've got to go for that narrow path, and only one man can go there at a time because it's so narrow. But I want to bring out what have I got here? Slackia. I've got a precept I want to bring out. 2 Timothy, is it 2:15? Yeah, 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So that's a powerful precept right there. And this is a very, very key precept that brothers should always have in their mind. Study, right? Study is important. Because this is the thing, man. Some people go off half-cocked, man. What I say some people go off half-cocked is that, okay, they might have watched a few lessons from the apostles. They've picked up a Bible and they've quickly ran out there thinking themselves teachers. But you can't just, in order to teach this truth, you have to properly understand it. Because if you're going out there and you're trying to teach this truth and you don't have the full understanding, you're going to be breaking it down incorrectly, and you're going to be causing, you're going to be in danger of violating Revelation 22nd chapter, adding to the word and taking away from it. So in order for you to be a qualified teacher, I mean, this is the same thing in the world, man. You've got good teachers, you've got bad teachers. But in GMS, we're supposed to be good teachers because we've been given the responsibility of prophesying this word onto the world. So we've got a very, very high standard that we are being held to. It's the highest standard on the earth, to be honest, because this truth is the most important thing. This is the highest knowledge on the earth. So in order to teach this, we have to be breaking it down correctly, right? So it says study, right? Study is important in this thing. Yeah, we do go out there and we curse out Esau, we curse out the white man, we curse out the wicked of our people, we curse out the black woman, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. This truth is so much more than that. So you have to be studying, man. When you're not out there in the street teaching, you should be studying. You know, every day it's a daily thing, man, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Just like exercise, man. If you exercise one day, then you go 3 months without doing any exercise, you're going to lose the gains that you made from that one little exercise session. So it's got to be a constant thing of you being disciplined. Got to be in the word every day. You got to be watching videos every day. You got to be making notes of precepts every day, you know, and you gradually build yourself up to a point where, you know, you can break this thing down correctly and you become a qualified teacher. So it's a study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman. See, we're labouring in this thing. A workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Right? So we're supposed to shun profane and vain babblings, meaning incorrect breakdowns, nonsense, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. So what are you doing? Are you helping to build? Are you helping to edify, or are you helping to deconstruct? What are you doing? You got to think about that. You want to be helping to edify, and in order to edify, you've got to be teaching the correct thing. I'm gonna have one more precept here before I close this one out. It's just a quick lesson. I was just meditating on this because the brother's video kind of resonated with me. As I said, he's saying you can't shortchange Yahweh Shai. Was it? Yeah, you can't shortchange the Lord, eat the whole roll. And that's very important because there's certain guys who think that there's certain parts of the scriptures that are superfluous. And I've said this many times before, there's nothing in the Bible that is superfluous. Everything that is recorded in the scriptures is there for a reason. Some brothers might not see the significance of, what's the importance of knowing that Jacob used a stone for a pillow, or what's the importance of knowing that King David played the harp? Well, it might not seem important on the surface, but there's usually a deeper spiritual significance to things. And what you've got to remember is that there were a lot of things taking place in the history, but the Most High recorded the things which are important for us to know unto salvation. So what I'm saying is that there's nothing superfluous in the scriptures. You've got to eat the whole roll and get the understanding before you can go out there and call yourself a teacher. Otherwise, you're going to be making mistakes, which leads unto more ungodliness. So just one last precept. Proverbs 20 verse 17. Just close out on this. Proverbs 20 verse 17 says, bread of deceit is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth shall be filled with gravel. Alright? Let me read that again. Bread of deceit is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth shall be filled with gravel. Meaning that if you're telling lies, or making shit up, or, you know, giving an incorrect breakdown, at the moment you're doing it, it may seem sweet. You might feel like, okay, well, yeah, I'm showing that I've got all this knowledge and blah 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 blah, and it feels good at the moment. Guess it may feel good in that moment, but afterwards, guess what? Your mouth's going to be filled with gravel, and you're going to get great shame, because your words are going to be scrutinized. And if they're found to be the incorrect words, you know, it's like having your mouth filled with gravel. It's going to be very shameful. So rather than do that, it's always better to be, how do you say, be circumspect. You know, if there's a breakdown you're not sure of, then we'll go to your elders and ask them if they could go over it with you, maybe. Or, you know, just look up the videos, type in the Apostles channels and see if they've got the breakdowns there. You don't need to be making shit up, man. Because if you're making shit up, you're essentially lying, and you're adding to the word, and you're taking away from the word, and you're in danger of having your portion taken out of the Lamb's Book of Life. So it's pretty straightforward, man. I don't really need to go on and make this lesson any longer, but I just, you know, as I said, meditating on what the apostles were saying and watching some of the other brothers' videos, it just prompted me to just do a little video here. So Lord willing, it's been edifying. So with that, giving all praises, honor and glory unto Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rakakadosh, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of all well. Shalom to you, Akim, teaching this word in faith and truth and sincerity. Until the next lesson, Lord willing, I say Shalom, Wa Abba Baba, Kwame Shalom for now.